Congresswoman Kat Kamak here. Yesterday, the Democrats walked out of our hearing in Energy and Commerce over an amendment that would prohibit funding for adolescent gender reassignment surgery at children's hospitals. You heard it right. No taxpayer funding for gender reassignment surgeries caused the Democrats to walk out. This is a really, really tough issue. And instead of sticking it out, having a dialogue, they turned their backs and walked out. So check this video out. It is totally worth the watch. It really shows just how far we have to go in getting this country back on track.
You got to see the reaction of some of the people in the room. The same people who are saying, we don't know all the facts. We don't know what we are signing on to, but we want money to go forward to push these reassignment surgeries on children. She wanted to share a video from a doctor that explains what happens. Their behavior tells you everything you need to know. Let's take a listen to this. Link in the description below. Like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more. Let's get to the video.
Chair recognizes Ms. Kamak for 5 minutes on the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I am so grateful to my colleagues, Representative Crenshaw for his leadership on this bill, and all of my colleagues here who are supporting funding for our children's hospitals. I want to reiterate again that nothing in this bill would prohibit a child with gender dysphoria from receiving proper mental and behavioral health care services. The underlying text is limited to experimental medical intervention, specifically using puberty blockers, hormone therapies, and surgeries to change a child's gender. And it was mentioned several times from my colleagues on the other side of the aisle that we don't understand this process. And so for the sake of clarity, really, I'd like to show a video, a brief interview that was conducted by an expert in gender reassignment surgeries from Oregon's healthcare system.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
I object. I move that the committee adjourn. This has turned into a circus. I move that the committee be adjourned.
Listen to that. I mean, how are we supposed to learn if we don't look at the facts for what they are? Adjourn?
It's official. It's official testimony.
Madam Chair, can I just ask?
Madam Chair, without objection, I would like to.
Okay.
I would like to play this
Committee
video.
will come to order.
I was going
Motion to adjourn is not debatable, right? So I have to ask. Okay, so Ms. Kamak
Madam
controls
Chair.
the time. She gets her 5 minutes, and then we'll move
Madam
to the
Chair.
vote on the motion
Madam
to
Chair.
adjourn.
We don't want to
Thank
be
you,
held
Madam Chair.
hostage
Sorry,
by whatever it is that you
excuse
guys
me.
are
Claiming my
Committee will
time.
come to order.
We don't want to be held hostage by the truth. We don't want to hear how diabolical some of our policies might be in hurting children.
Ms.
You'll
Kamak
have your
controls
votes.
the time. Ms. Kamak controls the time.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Chairwoman. Without objection, I would like to.
I
play this
object.
video.
There's an objection.
These Democrats are ridiculous. Look how ridiculous they are. They want children to have surgeries and cut body parts. When they say, let's look at a video, because you guys are saying you don't have all the facts. You guys are saying you don't know what really happens during these surgeries. Well, I got a video for you. And that video is not a Republican. This is a video of a doctor who is primarily on their side. He's actually for the surgeries. And he's explaining what happens. They don't even want to hear it.
Object. We have no foundation or basis for this video. We haven't seen it, and
It's
I
a
object.
medical expert from your side.
I object.
Doesn't she get
They don't even want to hear what the truth is. They don't even want their perspective to change.
Under it, as you claim, if we do not understand how this surgeries work, I would like to show a video that articulates how these surgeries are conducted. I think that is
Yeah.
completely germane to the conversation that we are
Very
having here
much
today.
so.
Okay. Just, excuse me. Lady will suspend.
That is crazy.
Committee will come to order. Okay, so Ms. Kamak gets to finish her 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Then we will proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, for
Thank
being
you. Please
bold.
play the video.
She's pushing it. Play the video.
It's an interview.
Okay. Okay. Committee stands
I
at
could tell she's so frustrated. She is so frustrated. She has to keep her emotion. Mrs. Kamek is like, these people. But she's holding her flesh together.
recess while the minority gets to look at the video.
Wow. Yeah, I know.
I want to look
I know.
2 minutes and 17 seconds.
How ridiculous are this stuff, huh? Boy, have mercy.
Committee will come to order. Ms. Kamick had asked unanimous consent for the committee to watch the video. There was an objection. I'm going to yield now to Mr. Pallone for the purposes of his objection.
I have looked at the video, but I insist on my objection because I have to be honest, I don't even understand what the person is saying. It's all, to me, it's just almost impossible for us to understand what he's saying and how it relates.
You don't understand, but now you're speaking for the rest of the crowd. Maybe you have a lack of understanding. Maybe you don't want to understand it. Well, you can't speak for everybody else. Maybe I might understand it. So let me watch the video and let me determine for myself. You see, these people, they don't even want you to think for yourself. Not only they don't want their perspective to change about some of the policies that they're pushing to actually have children reassigned supposedly surgeries, which is diabolical in itself. But it's one thing you don't want your mind to change. But it's another thing you're blocking the public from hearing. And this is why all these censorship problems happen, right? They don't even want you to hear what the truth could possibly be. Because if you know what really happens, you might vote differently.
To what we're discussing here, even the authentication is difficult. So I insist on the
doctor.
objection, Madam Chair.
Instead of a unanimous consent, the
They like to make things very difficult. It's called deflecting.
committee, I'm going to ask then that the committee vote as to whether or not to see the video. The clerk will report the vote.
Chair Rogers, on that vote, there are 26 ayes and 18 noes.
The ayes have it. We will watch the video.
Exactly.
Okay.
But the one thing that is very new is genital surgery in someone that has undergone pubertal suppression. I do facial, chest surgery, and genital surgery. But the majority of my practice and sort of where my passion lies is really genital surgery cases. So I do a lot of vaginoplasty and a lot of phalloplasty. I would just say they're expanding in either direction. So yeah, a lot of adolescents presenting for surgical intervention, but also a lot of people that are like in their 70s sometimes coming in for genital surgery, and then everything in between. But the adolescents for sure present some unique challenges. Obviously, there's great evidence supporting pubertal suppression for a whole variety of benefits. But the one thing that is very new is genital surgery in someone that has underwent pubertal suppression. Not so much an issue in someone with assigned female at birth anatomy that undergoes a phalloplasty, because we're creating something with free tissue transfer or a flap anyway, but a much bigger issue for an individual that's undergoing a penile inversion vaginoplasty.
Guys, are you hearing this? All right. This is doctors playing gods. These doctors are playing gods. They are creating something out of nothing. Well, they're creating something out of something, but they're creating their own version
Because we use all
of what God has done. This is ridiculous.
an individual that's undergoing a penile inversion vaginoplasty.
My Lord.
Because we use all of that tissue to basically create the vulva as well as line the internal vaginal canal. And as a specialty, those of us that do a fairly high volume of genital gender affirming surgery, we've maybe done a handful of pubertally suppressed adolescents as a field, and no one's published on it yet. OHSU we're just putting our first series together as we're kind of learning and figuring out what works. But it's really
Figuring out what works. So what is this? So this is not something that is certain that it works. We're just checking it out. So these children that you're working on to figure out what works, they are just some guinea pigs that we are having experience on. That's what we're supporting, right? Okay. No wonder why they didn't want to watch the video. Because even though he's not speaking against it, he's telling the truth, and the thing that he's telling is still troubling.
Changing things because you don't have enough tissue to line the vaginal canal. So you either have to take a skin graft or take skin from elsewhere or use some artificial product. The way that we're dealing with it is by using a robot. And we're basically performing intra-abdominal components of the surgery. So we're using peritoneum, which is the inner lining of the abdomen, to line most of the vaginal canal. And by doing that, that allows us to use all of the remaining tissue externally to create a vulva and try to make also an aesthetic result.
You last week.
Oh, my Lord. That's why those Democrats got up and left the room. They didn't want to confront the truth.
From Dr. Blair Peters, who is a gender-affirming surgery expert at the University of Oregon's Health and Science Division. Earlier today, just a few minutes ago, our colleagues on the left said that we didn't know what we were talking about. So when presented with a video that details exactly what it means to conduct surgery on a minor,
they got up and left.
For gender-affirming surgery, they left the room. Mm-hmm. They don't want the facts.
Nope. Exactly. They don't care about the facts because the facts doesn't sit well with them. It goes against the narrative. These people don't care. They don't care about children. They don't care about people. They care about their policy. It's a virtue signaling type of behavior. I'm here because I care, but really you don't care. They sound like they're pushing policies into Congress about things that they really care about. But when you dig a little bit more, they really don't care. This is about power and control, is dominance. That's why they had to leave the room, because they don't really care about the facts.
Surgery, they left the room. They don't want the facts. And as you heard from the specialist who does these surgeries, they don't know what they don't know. Mm-hmm. They don't understand the long-term effects. There is not even published information, peer-reviewed information backing up the claims that our colleagues on the left have said. We are here today to fund children's hospitals, not to mutilate them with experimental surgeries that we do not have science and data that backs up the claims that the left has made today.
None.
So I stand with my colleagues in funding these children's hospitals, but I also am very disappointed in my colleagues on the left who opted to leave the room in protest and refuse to watch a video from an expert on their own side. Mm-hmm. With that, Madam Chairwoman, I thank you for allowing me to show this video, and I yield back.
Wow.
Gentlelady yields back. Further discussion on the amendment?
Look at them coming back in the room.
Seeing none, the vote occurs on the Schreier amendment.
That is so...
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Nays have it. A recorded vote has been requested. The clerk will call the roll.
Wow. Praise the Lord for the truth. This is the reality. The Democratic Party is supporting gender reassignment surgery on minors. And many of this stuff, we have no idea where it leads. There's been other countries who try this. Countries like France, I think Denmark, Finland. I think there are a few more. Can't think of them right now, but they tried it. They said, this is not a good look. We can't do this. It's not working, and we're not going to push it. For some reason, we're pushing this in this culture. It's not good. A lot of these children are going to be left. They're going to be asking themselves one day, why did you guys allow this to happen? What was wrong with you? I was only a child. And I got another video coming of Chloe Cole when she speaks about this. She doesn't know what she was doing. She needed help with her mental health. She did not need a surgeon to cut body parts. Truly, if you're dealing with some type of, and if you happen to be a doctor or anybody of any field, the thing is, God didn't make a mistake when he created you. He really didn't. Something happens down the road. There's been a change in perspective, situation, circumstance. Something happened, all right? We don't know for certain exactly what it is. But what I can tell you is that you are not a mistake. You are not an afterthought. Okay? The Bible says, my substance was not hid from thee, when I was made in secret and curiously wrought in the lowest part of the earth. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. So, God from the beginning of time, had you in his mind. You are not an afterthought. There is nothing wrong with you. Now, what might be wrong is in the thinking, the way that a lot of people see themselves. And our culture has created so much mental issues that we are confusing our children. And now doctors comes with their knives, surgeons come with their knives and say, let's cut, butcher, maim. And we don't even know where this is going. This is not to be allowed. This is not something you can just, it's not even politics anymore. That stuff is evil. It's diabolical. And too many children are being butchered in the name of gender reassignment surgery. God did not leave it up to men to decide what to do with human beings when they're feeling this way or that way. Don't get me wrong, doctors have their place, lawyers have their place, preachers have their place, we get it. But what these people are doing, they are acting like they are gods. They are acting like they know better than gods. They are acting like they know what God has decided. They think God made a mistake, so therefore they need to fix the mistake that God has made. Or they don't even believe in God at all. And I think that's at the root of all of our problems. I could say a lot. This matter, it bothers me because we're talking about children here. We're talking about children. And that's just sad. And it's also wrong. Link in the description below. Comment below, share your thought and perspective with me. How did you feel about this video? Didn't you think the Democrats were a little bit wild that they did not allow the video to play because they were afraid of what could be heard and said? Yeah, mind-blowing. But I really appreciate Representative, Florida Representative Carmack. Carmack is not afraid to speak her mind, irrespective of the pushback. Share your thought with me. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.